Does the bear market start now? I think this is a question that a lot more people are asking following last night. When we were at $111,000, it was we're so back. But now is it bear market starting? Everything's over. Look, I'm gonna try and break it down to you as best as possible, from showing you the lower time frame to going to the macro time frame, what I'm doing with positions, what are the concerning signs, how history could be repeating itself, and if it is doing so, what does that mean? Like all of these worries and anxieties that you may have for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I'm going to try and clear up as much of it as I can, specifically on Bitcoin. And then altcoins we can review later tonight on the Moonshow channel where I do the daily crypto live. But before we jump into anything, guys, if you appreciate this content, because we post every single day, regardless of location, regardless of anything, basically, I try my best to update you guys in the market. You're all fantastic. You've been showing so much support, so thank you all so much for that. But if you're subscribed and if you've destroyed the like button, let's get into the short-term analysis for Bitcoin, and then we can cover the macro setup and see if the bear market is actually beginning or not, because the short-term time frame definitely does not tell you if that is the case. So last night I posted on Twitter, expect a rejection here on Bitcoin, the closure of the CME gap, and also on the Telegram community I made a update, which if you would like to join it, there is a link in the description that I will show you in a second. It's completely free to do so. It's just when I can't make videos in that moment over on Telegram or Twitter, I do share extra updates. For example, last night, President Trump, he came in and he said that he didn't come to my hospital room, but he said from the White House that some China tariff issues are there, and I mentioned that because he has mentioned this, and more so due to the fact that we still have the CME gap at the 107 3 to $600 area. I think we should be expecting a rejection here from the bull and bear market support band, and then come down and close the CME gap. And if we look at the current price action, that's what we have exactly done. So if we go here, look, I mean, we were very close to doing it. So I still do think that a bit more downside is possible. But we have done that. We've gotten rejected the bull and bear market support band, and we've come down to almost the CME gap, and I think we're going to fill it. So that's what's happened. And if you want to get those updates, I mean, not apart from YouTube, because it's essential to watch the in-depth analysis, but when there's something breaking or urgent, I do tend to post it on the Telegram community. It's right over here. And then Twitter is linked down in the social section as well of the description. Right, but overall, that was nice. We got the rejection, and it's nice because if you want to jump into a DCA long position, because I still think that longing in this environment, in my opinion, you can do whatever you wish to do so, obviously. But in my personal opinion, I think the long-term chart, which is the macro weekly chart, I still believe that longing makes sense. And you can come to that conclusion by analyzing trend. And technical analysis is just purely based off of trend analysis, and trend analysis is conducted by moving averages or higher lows and higher highs. When you look at both of those things, moving averages still heading up. You're still creating higher lows and higher highs, right? So all of those things are still pointing into a bullish direction, hence I'm not shorting. But when you zoom in, you are starting to see some, unfortunately, short-term concerning signs. I do believe a correction, I'll just say it now, as a TLDR to 100K is still looking likely. So over on Weeks, which you can sign up to if you wish to do so to get a 20% deposit bonus. It's currently the best bonus that's out there for Weeks. You can use the first link in the description down below to sign up. I have a trade that I placed in recently as a DCA, and then a second trade which will get initiated if Bitcoin is to fall to that 54 simple moving average. You can, if you want to long the 54 simple, you can just put a limit order, choose your leverage, isolated or cross. I'll use isolated. I think we covered the reason for why I do that on yesterday's video. And then the amount of position USDT size that you want to open, including leverage. So if you want to put $500, then it would be $5,000 with 10x leverage. And then if you click open long, you can set a limit order to go in and buy. And I think that this position will be my final buy the dip position for Bitcoin, Because if you do lose the 54 simple moving average, that's when you break the trend. That's when you start saying, okay, you know what? We were bullish, but that's no longer the case because the trend is now being broken to the downside. So then I will close positions and then I will switch to shorting. But at this point, on today's video at 9:42 a.m. Dubai time, the trend is still bullish. So I'm not going to be shorting. I'm going to attempt to buy the dip here. And I do believe that we will see a bounce. I think there's going to be a bounce. How big of a bounce is it going to be? That's the question mark. The likelier case is, like I mentioned last week, we come to the bull and bear market support band, get a rejection, the bull and bear market support band in 54 simple cross, and then you start going down. And then Q2 2026, maybe Q3, following how big of a correction occurs, most likely to this level, then we start bouncing back up when quantitative easing is introduced. For me, that's the base case scenario, and I'm going to try and catch that final candle body to the upside with the 54 simple moving average. An interesting thing in history that's repeating is exactly last year, almost November, December, you experienced a double top. We're getting a double top here on the weekly time frame. The prior resistance of this double top in last year has now become the support line for this year's double top. And when you see that price fell below the bull and bear market support band, you came down to the 54 simple moving average. We've done that. And yeah, there is still some hopium because this line is, depending on how you draw it, is not fully broken to the downside. But I think a move to 54 simple is looking pretty clear to me. And that's where we got the bounce following the correction from the double top last year. So again, 100K is where I'm looking to add to my overall long positionings on weeks. You can also do trading bots to buy the dip for you to get a more, if you don't want to enter at exactly one point in time, you can do a ladder order if you want to visualize it that way. It's like a ladder. You have different steps to buying in. Where D stays in for you, trading bots are the way to do that, and Pinex is the best exchange for trading bots. And with this link, if you deposit $100, you'll get a $100 bonus to only use if you want that $100 bonus to then use the trading bot. So it's a pretty cool thing. Second link in the description will give you that cool bonus. 54 simple, in short, is what I'm looking for because of those reasons. And bull market over, bear market beginning is only going to be conducted, where that conclusion is going to be stated on this channel once these two moving averages cross into each other. And with that said, that is pretty much it for today's video. Nothing much more to mention. Just look out for those levels. And if you risk manage nicely, then we can still try to get that final potential bounce. And as soon as things turn sideways, that's when flipping short will be the case. And you know, it would suck because in the short term, because this monetary cycle is different, you know, people would be frustrated with altcoins, and I will be very frustrated with altcoins. But when quantitative easing is introduced next year, it could be very much the case that altcoin season kicks off much later than what everybody expected. But yeah, interesting market environments. We're here to analyze it and break it down for you every step of the way. Altcoins I'll get into in more detail over on the Moonshow channel, Daily Crypto Live tonight, so stay tuned for that. But guys, I'll see you soon. Today, not feeling so great, so that's why my mood was a bit on the lower end for this video. But hopefully for tomorrow will be better. So guys, thank you so much for your support as always. Thank you so much for your likes and comments. Always very appreciated. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, guys.